There's a thought out there, and I think that nothing's ever like kind of towing the line. Nothing's ever in the middle. People think that like if you're negative at all, you hate the program and you want to burn down Tallahassee and you're just like the worst person ever. Or the other side is like you can't say anything that like you gotta or like the other side is people really are trying to burn everything down. Like they really are the ones that are like fire Norvell. We need to move on. And that's not the case. I mean, we're not firing Norvell, right? Like, so I don't,
No.
you might think he needs to get fired, whatever. Like that can be your opinion, but it's not happening. So just like shut up about it, right? Like just shut up because you're just dumb, right? It's not going to happen. So try and find ways to fix things outside of that. The other side is like, yeah, you're allowed to be somewhat critical. And, your former, I guess, host when you were the super producer, Trey Rowland of, on the bench, Noles 247 did a great job, I think, of towing that line and showing how you like still support, but also like kind of calling out the BS. So Harlan, do me a favor and play that clip. And then Richie, let's talk about it a little bit.
And outside of that, there's serious questions on the staff, serious questions in this program. And, yeah, this is not okay. And it will continue to not be okay. So then you figure it out.
Wonderfully said. We will obviously, our job is to analyze the micro, the macro, but like the intricate decisions that make up the totality of these games. As a whole, for you, the fan, the listener, the consumer, the lifeblood of the Florida State football product, you need to shout from the rooftops. This is not acceptable. For the amount of money that everyone has put in, the school, the community, the investment you personally have put in, the product that you are receiving back is so substandard to the amount of investment you're putting in. Absolutely disgusting. You should be mad. You are allowed to be mad. You should be loud. Continue to be loud. Let them know that this is not acceptable. We are not Illinois. We are not Rutgers. We are not some ho-hum Mac bullshit team. We have put a bajillion dollars into this program over the years. You are in a fertile recruiting ground. You need to demand better decisions from the people that get the money. And you deserve it because you are giving the money. So do not take all of these things, these qualifiers. We look at every game individually. Every game individually. The compression of decisions that make up a game. Overall, you deserve better for your investment. Continue to make.
He ended up going on to say, continue to make the investment, but absolutely hold the people accountable who are kind of in charge and running the ship. And I think he's pretty spot on here, Richie. I'll let you go first and then we'll talk about it. We'll get right back to the video, but first, a little bit of love for our friends over at the Mango Board. I was at the game on Saturday night. They did a great job with the sound choice. It ended up being Superstition. If you see those guys out of the games, if you're anywhere around any Florida State event, they partner with so many sports, not just football. Make sure that you go up and say hi, give them our love, tell them you saw and heard about them on Double Fries No Slaw. And then listen, like we tell you every week, you don't have to necessarily go enter a code. We're not trying to sell you anything. The next time you're at your local grocer, pick up a couple of mangoes. Maybe tag them in it on social media. That's great for our business. That's great for people that support our show. It lets them know that you enjoy what we're doing. You enjoy the partnership, that they help you bring this content. And so go ahead and support our friends over at the Mango Board. They support FSU. They support our show, and we appreciate them for that.
Yeah, no, I think it's right because, we spend our hard-earned money. Like, we all have jobs that to provide for our family and whatnot, and we take the extra and we spend it on the Battle's End or boosters, and we still should continue to do that. Like, I truly believe that. Like, continue to give to boosters, give to Battle's End, whatever it may be, but you're not getting a return on investment right now. And that's frustrating, TJ. It's really frustrating.
Yeah, it's frustrating because, I always say this, but I like Mike, and I really do hope Mike works out. We've done several videos on can he get it turned around, what are his chances, what does he need to do, blah, 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 blah. But I like Mike. And so like this isn't directed at Mike, but like there are a lot of people in this, like, fans absolutely demand better. Like as much as we've made fun of UF and Miami for the way that their last however many years have gone, like they've never been this bad. Like ever. And as much as we pick at Willie Taggart and say that he was terrible and all those other things, like he was never this bad. Like those Willie Taggart teams would whip this team's tail. Maybe not with Brock. Maybe things would get better. And that is absolutely unacceptable. This is the kind of failure, like if it's any other business, this is the kind of failure that like heads absolutely roll. Like if this happened at your job, this kind of abject failure, heads would absolutely roll. And maybe your business wouldn't, maybe your company wouldn't be in the situation to be able to fire the CEO, maybe, because of some buyout stuff, maybe that would, and I think that is Florida State's situation. Like I don't, they're not in a position to be able to move on from the head coach, and nor am I saying they should, but there should be enough change. Like, and if there's not, Florida State fans do need to be pretty loud about this. Like everybody was like super jacked up and super loud about the snub and about, their frustrations around the way that you got left out of the playoff and everything else. And so you should be equally as like, cause that was okay. That was like outsiders, like kind of putting you to the screws, right? Like this is on the inside. The people responsible for this mess right now are no longer ESPN. They're no longer the committee. It's no longer Boo Corrigan. Like it's the people that are making hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars in some cases to direct this program in the way that it goes. And Trey's right. This is not like some BS program out in the middle of BFE. Like this is a top 15-ish brand of all time. Like you could probably go all the way up to around 10 or so. But yeah, this is absurd. And it certainly needs to change. And I don't think that fans that call it out are wrong or doing anything that like, oh, wow, I can't believe people would be negative or call this out. Like, this is insane and it should be called out and heads should roll and changes should be made from all of this.
Yeah, no, I agree, TJ. There's not much to add. The product we've seen is not good. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it's frustrating, and I understand. Again, I understand where people are with the idea of, hey, what's the what's the appropriate level of like not freak out or accountability. Like hopefully there would be accountability in this, and we've talked about that. We've talked about just where Florida State is in general, where things will hopefully change, where they'll get better. But I mean, I think Trey puts it pretty well. I think he, certainly breaks things down well. And the fact that you should still support, like I haven't canceled my booster membership. I didn't call up the battle. I know people have, but I didn't call up the battle's end and cancel. And, the impacts are so much farther reaching than just the fan base. The impacts are the local community. Like I was over at Garden Gold yesterday, and this certainly isn't good for their business. I was at Madso the other day, and like this certainly isn't great for them. Like what the game weekends are going to do. These last 3 game weekends, Richie. Like what do North Carolina? I would not be surprised if that's a noon kickoff. Which I'm taking my family, and I actually would be thankful if that was a noon kickoff. But North Carolina, Charleston Southern, and then maybe a 3 or 4 win Florida team. I mean, I can't imagine the attendance is great for any of that.
Give me a noon kick for every game. I can't imagine. Like, give me a noon kick and just let me watch the game, and then it's over, and I move on.
Yeah, that bad for again with the amount of money and time and energy and effort that gets poured into this program for this to be the big picture takeaway, the big picture, kind of the way that things have rolled. This is obviously, somewhat frustrating. And I think Trey did a good job of breaking it down here. So go check out Noles 247. Obviously Trey and the guys over there do a good job. And appreciate Trey for keeping it pretty real there. So